Wow. Huh.
Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed. Yeah. Unconfirmed.
Unconfirmed.
No. Unconfirmed reports about Gadhafi being captured. Unconfirmed. Yeah. We've had too many. We've had a bunch of those before. We've had, have had him captured a couple of times.
It's October 20th, 2011. On the edge of the Libyan city of Sirte, a battered convoy speeds down the road. The desert sun is blazing. NATO jets circle overhead, and Muammar Gaddafi, once one of the world's most feared dictators, is sitting inside one of the cars, terrified. For 42 years, he ruled Libya with absolute power, building a cult of personality that seemed untouchable. But today, everything is collapsing around him. Within hours, the man who styled himself as the King of Kings of Africa will be dragged from the drainage pipe, beaten, and killed, with the whole world watching. For 42 years, Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya with absolute power. He styled himself as the brother leader and even the King of Kings of Africa. His word was law. From oil wealth and politics to how people lived their daily lives. But by 2011, the Arab Spring had reached Libya. In cities across the country, thousands poured into the streets demanding his resignation. Gaddafi answered with bullets and airstrikes. Instead of crushing the uprising, his violence lit a fire. Within weeks, NATO launched air campaigns. Rebels armed themselves, and Gaddafi's empire began to crumble. By the fall of 2011, Gaddafi's empire was collapsing. The man once portrayed as the hero of Libya now found himself hated by much of his own people. His image of strength, parades, golden statues, endless speeches, had given way to burned posters and chants of "Down with the dictator." NATO's air campaign pounded his military every day. Convoys, weapons depots, even his personal compounds were destroyed from the sky. One by one, cities that had been under his grip for decades slipped away to rebel control. His loyal generals and ministers began to defect. Some fled abroad, others switched sides. Even among ordinary Libyans, the fear that once kept people silent was gone. In Tripoli, his capital, crowds openly tore down his portraits, something unthinkable just months earlier. Entire neighborhoods rose up against his forces, despite the risk of tanks and snipers. Yet, in the middle of all this, Gaddafi clung to denial. In fiery broadcasts, he shouted that Libyans still loved him, calling the rebels rats and cockroaches. He insisted the nation was united behind him, even as those words were drowned out by the sounds of NATO jets overhead and gunfire in the streets. Gaddafi makes a desperate gamble. Surrounded in his hometown of Sirte, he orders a convoy of cars to punch through NATO's blockade. Dozens of vehicles roar out of the city, carrying him, his sons, and his bodyguards. But the sky isn't empty. NATO drones and French fighter jets are already waiting. Within minutes, missiles rain down. Explosions tear through the convoy. Cars flip. Black smoke fills the road, and survivors scatter in every direction. Gaddafi's own vehicle is hit. Bleeding, dazed, and nearly deafened by the blasts, he crawls out and staggers with a handful of loyalists. They scramble across a field and dive into a concrete drainage pipe under the highway. The man who once built palaces of marble and gold is now hiding underground, surrounded by mud and trash. It doesn't last. Rebels sweep the area, searching every hole and ditch. A fighter shines a flashlight into the pipe, and there he is. Muammar Gaddafi, the brother leader, is dragged out by the arms, blood streaked across his face. Cell phone cameras capture it all. For the first time in 42 years, Gaddafi is no longer feared. He is surrounded, beaten, and mocked by the same people he once ruled with an iron fist. His final words, captured in the chaos, are a desperate plea. Don't shoot. My sons. My sons.
You can probably hear there is a cacophony of celebration behind us. Very difficult to hear anything here. The ships are sounding their horns, the gunfire is going off, the cars are sounding their horns as well. Everyone's celebrating what they think is the capture of Muammar Gaddafi himself.
The moment Gaddafi is pulled from the pipe, the crowd erupts. Fighters shout, shove and strike him. Some fire shots into the air. Cell phones record every second as the once untouchable dictator stumbles, blood running down his face. In the chaos, he's thrown onto the back of a pickup truck. He is beaten. His once grand uniform is ripped to shreds. For decades, Libyans were forced to applaud him in carefully staged rallies. Now those same voices hurl curses and screams of revenge. Gaddafi's final moments are messy and brutal. Dazed, pleading, overwhelmed by the mob. Then, amid the confusion, shots ring out. When the crowd pulls back, he is dead. The brother leader, who promised to die a martyr, has fallen not in a palace or courtroom, but in a ditch, at the hands of his own people. Within hours, the footage races across the globe. Al Jazeera broadcasts it first. Soon CNN, BBC, Sky News, and every major network replay the clips on a loop. The grainy cell phone video of a bloody dictator, dragged and beaten, becomes one of the defining images of the Arab Spring. Shocking proof that his 4-decade rule is truly over. In the hours after his death, celebrations swept across Libya. In Tripoli and Benghazi, crowds flooded the streets, waving flags and firing rifles into the air. After 42 years of absolute rule, the dictator was gone. The transitional government declared the country liberated. But the joy didn't last. With Gaddafi's death, Libya was left without a unifying government or functioning institutions. His rule had concentrated all power in his hands, and when he fell, there was nothing left to hold the nation together. Rebel groups that had once fought side by side against him soon turned their weapons on each other. Militias carved up cities and oil fields. Two rival governments emerged, backed by competing foreign powers. Civil war dragged on for years, leaving tens of thousands dead and millions displaced. Outside Libya, the images of Gaddafi's bloody end became a global symbol of the Arab Spring, the uprising that toppled entrenched leaders from North Africa to the Middle East. But inside Libya, his legacy was more complicated. For some, he remained the tyrant who brought decades of repression. For others, he was the strong man whose removal plunged the country into chaos. More than a decade later, Libya is still struggling with division and instability, and the memory of Gaddafi's downfall, captured in shaky cell phone videos, replayed endlessly on television screens around the world, remains one of the most shocking moments of the 21st century.